Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 60 Seconds of Stoicism presents Teaching Philosophy to Your Kids. This week, we are going to focus on empathy, finding and teaching empathy in young children. Now, I get asked a lot of questions at my school from parents. They'll ask me things like, why is my child a bad child? Why is my child always getting angry at home? My child is nothing like their sibling. Why is that? So when we get those questions, it helps us to understand that there's a frustration going on with understanding why undesired behaviors are occurring in the classroom. Sometimes those can also be occurring at home. So how do we address that in the most philosophical way and also what's best for the child going forward with their friends? Let's take a look at what we can do. First of all, let's just define what empathy is. We have often heard people say empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes to understand what they're going through. That's not necessarily the correct way to look at it. In fact, that can have a negative connotation to it with some people. People think that they can put themselves in their position and know exactly what they're going through, or they can take on the same stress and anxiety that that person has going through because they are trying to put themselves in that position. Empathy is more understanding what kind of shoes the person is wearing rather than trying them on for yourself. When you can understand that somebody's going through something that's difficult, challenging, sad, adversive in any way, then that gives us an opportunity to see if we can help. Now, what if your child causes those situations that makes another child feel bad? Well, there's a few things that we have to consider, especially as adults. First, we need to examine what makes the child angry by asking ourselves what makes us angry. Now, we often get angry because of disrespect. We don't like it when somebody says something to us that's wrong, does something to hurt us or to destroy our reputation, or even just cuts us off in traffic. We don't like that. Well, children feel the same way. When they're in the classroom and one of their items is taken or used or little attention is given to them for what they're doing, they feel disrespected and they can lash out. Well, another reason we feel disrespected is oftentimes we feel unheard. We have something important that we're trying to say or do or accomplish, and when we're unseen by people, we get very upset. That can cause us to lash out or have bad intentions at home with our family and show anger and frustration towards them. So that's another reason that children can feel that the same way. They're competing in a classroom with 25 other people sometimes. And so if their voice is not heard, they can get very angry and have those maladaptive behaviors. Sometimes it's just lack of concern. We understand that. Sure, we'll show concern up front, someone's crying, but just a second after that, we can walk away and be fine with our day. Think about the last time you've seen a car accident, a really bad one, when you drive by. Everybody slows down to gawk, and everybody says the same thing. Oh, I feel so sorry for those people. Then 5 seconds down the road, you're humming the next Britney Spears song, and you've completely forgot about that accident. Well, that can happen too in a classroom. Child could take something from another child. The retaliation is done by hurting them back. And even though that child's crying, your child's moved on to the next thing already. I feel bad for them if they're crying, but I got what I wanted, so I'm good. Sometimes it's just very simple things like our basic human needs, like feeling hungry or tired. We do that as adults all the time. We have nasty tempers that come out when we're feeling tired or overworked. When we get hungry or hangry, we can be very mean to people around us just because we need some food. Kids are the same way. It's not that they're showing a lack of empathy, they're just showing a need for their needs to be met. Finally, cost benefit analysis. This is something that children do all the time. If somebody's done something wrong to me and I can punch them in the nose and all I need to do is sit in a quiet corner for a couple of minutes, it's worth the cost for the benefit of getting my point across. That's why timeouts are often ineffective nowadays. Time ins need to be done where you're sitting with your child when they've been separated from what they're working on or the toy that they've been playing with, and you speak to them, you work them through the process, you teach them in the moment. It's far more effective, and that can be taken on to show empathy to other people. So now that we've kind of understand what that is, let's look at the philosophy aspect of empathy for our children. So the next thing that we have to teach our children is it's sad when people get hurt. We need to help them understand that it's not a good thing when that happens. Daniel Goleman, who's worked in cognitive development for a long time, especially in emotional development, said a prerequisite to empathy is simply paying attention to the person that's in pain. That is a huge one that we can teach our kids. Pay attention to them. How can you do that? Now, let's say your child is the aggressor in this incident, and they've taken something from another child that's caused them pain, caused them to cry. Maybe they pushed them over. Maybe they've said a mean word to them. Recognize the pain. That takes a bit of commitment from you as a parent, a caregiver, a grandma, grandpa, an aunt, or uncle to walk through what emotion is. It's okay that somebody's sad. We need to recognize that. That means that they feel like something has been done to them that's wrong. So, what can our response be as we teach our children to learn empathy? What can we do to make it better? A teacher at my school never uses the term sorry. She feels like it's hollow, and often it is. We just tell kids, go say you're sorry, and we feel like that makes everything better. Instead, she teaches them to say, how can I help you feel better? That is what we should be focusing on for empathy. Yes, I did something that hurt someone, and this can go for us as adults as well. But is there a way for me to rectify the situation in the moment so I can make things better for them? Maybe I took their favorite car. I can now give that car back and go get a different one to play with until they're done. Maybe this is older kids in elementary school. Maybe they said a mean word to me or I said a mean word to them. An apology and saying, hey, that wasn't nice of me and I can see how that affects you, helps that other person work through and realize that it's a genuine response and not a forced one. Oftentimes, kids just don't even realize that the other person was hurt in any way. So when we take the time as caregivers to point out that there has been a wrong done, at least in the eyes of the other person, then that allows us to understand that this is an opportunity that I need to use empathy. Plato said, be kind to all of those you meet. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Selfishness is a big thing for children. We understand that. And let me tell you, big thing for adults too. We get selfish as well. We want everything when we want it, in the moment we want it, and we don't want to wait. But when we can teach our kids that other people also feel that same way, we can understand how emotions work. I've had kids before fight over the same item. And they said, I wanted it, it was my turn. And I wanted it when it's my turn. So what I'll do is model for the child and say, how about instead of saying, can I have it or give it to me, say, when you're done, can I have a chance to play with it? I'm going to be honest. 8 times out of 10, the other child is so happy that that's the response that they'll just give the other child the toy. It's amazing. Could we use that as adults? We want something so bad. We want our turn. Can we just say, hey, I'm glad you got that promotion right now, John. I'm going to try hard to get the next one. It would make life much, much better for us. We need to understand that bad things happen and they're not personal. We need to understand that there are moments and not enemies. Yes, Johnny should not have pushed me down when I was getting in line, but he's not my enemy. He did something that was wrong. And now I can have empathy for Johnny that he made a bad choice. Or let's flip the script and say, I'm Johnny that pushed the child down and I can see that they're hurting in there. Now's my chance to say, what can I do to help? Lift a hand, pull them back up, let them get in front of you on the line. Those things are reinforced by positive words, the affect on your face, the rewards that are given afterwards. All of those things confirm that this is a good act to do in teaching empathy. Lastly, let's finish off with the words of Marcus Aurelius. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. When you're a child in a classroom with 25 other students, you work together as a community. It's not just one child going on their self to learn for the day and then come home and that's it. You intertwine with each other. There's lunch eaten together. There's playground time played together. There's studying time that goes about, fun activities. They go through holidays together. They go through sharing time together. They create their own community. So when we teach our kids to love each other within that community, that fosters empathy. Children should be praised for their show of empathy. Every time a child decides to take the high road, so to speak, when there's a situation, they should be praised for it. That doesn't mean you have to downgrade the other child and say, look at how well this child's behaving. You were the one that hurt them and they're walking away. No, what you do is just praise the individual for making a good choice. Everybody else will see that. Point out when other people use empathy in the classroom in front of the other students. For example, little Sarah saw that Johnny made a big mess. She went over and helped him clean it up without being asked. Wow, everybody, did you see little Sarah? She went over and helped, and I didn't even have to ask her. Good job, Sarah. You must really care about your friend. She has now been recognized, but also has been modeled for all the other students in the classroom. Teachers, parents, caregivers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, you must model this as well. Can't teach your child to have empathy for others and then you're cursing somebody on the street because they drove by you, cut you off, flipped you off, all those things. Children are a sponge and they will repeat everything you say in the car. I guarantee you, I've heard it. So you have to make sure that you're modeling empathy towards others as well. That can also be things like volunteering. I once heard a child come into my school during a food drive and ask his mom, "Why do I have to give food?" His mom said, "Because you ate dinner last night and other students didn't." And I thought that was a great response. It showed him that people out there may not be as fortunate as him without making him feel sad or uncared for. It was just a simple way to say there's other people we can care about. Look for ways to eliminate contributors to the lack of empathy yourself. Again, that goes back to modeling. Are you at home arguing with your spouse in front of your child? They're seeing a lack of empathy. Are you at home bad mouthing people in your family or your friends or even your kids themselves? That's a lack of empathy. When there's a chance to do the right thing out in public, but you choose to do the wrong thing, it's a lack of empathy. We're not modeling it. So, what we're trying to do is take those opportunities for children to see us misbehaving and eliminate them as much as possible so that they're replaced with those pro social behaviors of showing them how they should behave towards others. And in process, helping them to gain empathy. Thank you all for watching our show. We appreciate it. You can catch our podcast, 60 Seconds of Stoicism. Please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, Semper Studiosus.